What is up? What is up, boxing world? What is up, chat? What's up to everyone kind enough to come through on this Wednesday evening? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Sometimes we're so used to these pressers going down on a Thursday. Make sure audio's good, everything's good. We're good, chat. All right, chat. So, man, explosive breaking news. Before we get to Canelo-Munguia, before we get to Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo's beef today, that definitely turned things up a notch at the presser today in Las Vegas. Let's talk about the breaking news. Let's get right to it. Well, let's not look at me talking about boxing. Let's get to Dan Rafael, who I had a good talk with today before all this went down. Dan Rafael, the former ESPN Dumb Dada, still one of the best in the game, my man Big Dan, saying, breaking, per multiple sources with knowledge of the results, Ryan Garcia tested positive for the banned performance-enhancing drug Ostarine, a Nevada test related to the Haney fight. Garcia's positive test, per source with direct knowledge, failed for Ostarine in 2 urine tests on April 19th and post-fight April 20th. April 19th sample screened positive but was not confirmed, pending something being done. Ryan Garcia has 10 days to ask for a B sample, Connor Ben time, to be tested at his own expense. So not only he blows weight by 3.2 pounds, but apparently was also dirty for PED or 2. So, wow. Let's quickly look at. So I looked up some of the things about Ostarine, and this doesn't sound good. Muscle size and strength. Ostarine mimics anabolic steroids anabolism by stimulating the androgen receptor, increasing skeletal muscle and bone strength. Ostarine also, so this is actually a steroid. This would appear to not just be a drug that helps you cut weight, or even a drug like EPO or that fattens up the white blood cells and gives you more energy. This is like something trying to mimic the effects of anabolic steroids. And before we get to all that in just a moment, I could already imagine Team Garcia pointing out that VADA is closely linked with Victor Conte, who had SNAC, and Victor Conte is like this with Devin Haney. So I'll give them their fair due there. And I know that's something Henry and Ryan want to point out if they haven't already on social media. I already know that's coming. And it's a fair point to make, I suppose. But just to pop my shit for a minute, because you guys all know I was beating myself up. I felt terrible about picking Garcia. Let me fix this damn webcam. There we go. I felt terrible about picking Garcia and Haney wrong. I try to be insightful for my viewers. You're not going to pick them all right, but I really try to pick just about every fight that I break down on tape correctly, because I didn't box professionally before. I had a couple amateur fights, whatever, but I didn't box professionally. My guys like Tim Bradley and Sean Porter, they could pick fights wrong. They could pick 10 fights in a row wrong, and you guys would still listen to them, because since they've been champion before, they have credibility. Now, someone like me needs to pick these fights right to have credibility. So I felt pretty terrible blundering Garcia versus Haney. So allow me to be immature for a moment and pop off here. You knew something was off. You knew something was off when your man SZ picked the fight wrong. It just doesn't happen that often. So you knew something was off there when your man SZ got it wrong, right? You knew something had to be going. I'm being funny, but no. The big question about all this now is, does this fight get overruled into a no contest? At which point Devin Haney would remain undefeated, and Ryan Garcia's amazing win, electric win 2 weeks ago in Brooklyn, a week and a half ago in Brooklyn, would be wiped away. And so, right, one bad thing for Devin, if this gets ruled a no contest, is he shouldn't lose the lessons and create blind spots, in his brain for what did happen in this fight. Even if it, in fact, Ryan was on a performance-enhancing drug or two and blew the weight by 3.2 pounds. Some of the technical deficiencies of Devin should still be shored up if he wants to become the best fighter he can be. And, it still wasn't a good game plan by Bill Haney and trying to appease everybody and get a stoppage to match Tank, give the public what they wanted there. So even if this gets overruled into a no contest, which it should be, if in fact, the B sample comes back and Ryan appeals this and Team Garcia appeals this, if it still holds up that he tested positive for Ostarine and maybe perhaps that other drug that Dan Rafael mentioned in his tweet, then yeah, it should totally be ruled a no contest. But Devin should not lose the lessons to be learned from what happened in Brooklyn 2 Saturdays ago. He should still work on his mechanics and technical skills. He should still be a boxer first and kind of drift away from this infatuation of trying to truly commit and sit down on punches and behave stylistically like a bigger puncher than he really is. But Devin Haney and Bill Haney are vindicated to a degree should this hold up. And there's, again, if this holds up, there's a good chance that the New York State Athletic Commission would have to overrule from a win for Garcia to a no contest. And I got to give a shout out. I got to give a shout out to my man, Timothy Bradley. Tim Bradley, let's take a quick look at it for any of you guys that didn't see it already. But my man, Tim Bradley, he did an interview. He did an interview right after the fight where the quote was, oh, well, ignore these ads, please. I got to get YouTube Red. Everybody tells me that, but, you know. So the quote was, it wasn't an even playing field. Tim Bradley on Ryan Garcia's upset over Devin Haney. Now, Tim Bradley, kind of fortunately for him, unfortunately, but fortunately, is used to the whole world coming against him. He got everybody to shit on him after the first Pacquiao fight, which was a disputed decision that he won against Pacquiao. And he got death threats. He got called terrible things to where he wound up fighting a balls-to-the-wall war against Ruslan Provodnikov to redeem himself to the public. So, unfortunately, fortunately for Tim, he's used to the whole world coming at him based on that experience. And I said it. I defended Tim after that interview on my live after Ryan won. I gave Ryan all his flowers. I likened him to Leonardo DiCaprio saying, I'm king of the world, you know, on the Titanic scene. But I mentioned that Tim is exposing something disgusting in the public, the way they treated him and they reacted to him telling the truth. And there's a valuable lesson to be learned quickly from what Tim did in saying it wasn't an even playing field. The truth will make the world often come against you in the short term. But in the long term, if you have the character and the convictions to stand up to it, which is not easy. It's something I'm working on myself, but a former champion like Tim, he can do it. You will in the long term be vindicated by the truth. The truth always ages well. And so Tim saying that it wasn't an even playing field against Ryan Garcia, man, talk about a statement aging well now after he had to put up with the whole world shitting on him. So if we should all, you know, I should take a page out of my man Tim's and really you know, stand on the truth more. But man, I gave a lot of credit to Ryan, but ultimately none of that matters if the fight gets thrown out as a no contest. We got to see what comes of all of that. Let me say what's up to some people. RM said, F your man, Tim Bradley. Well, you're being another one of those, you know, gross people. Tim paid for those positive tests. No, sir, that's not what happened. Orthodox Boxing said, Garcia is a cheater. I'm not a Haney fan, but I will call it what it is. Beat said, ironic thing is Garcia would have beat the shit out of Haney without the PEDs probably. Well, that's not really something you can say anymore. Gustavo Fontalba, what's up, Gustavo? What's up, Bostons? What's up, everyone? Wilson, what's going on? So Tank's Camp called this 2 years ago, says Wilson. He did. He mentioned you better not be on that shit. And turns out he may, in fact, have been on that shit. Gustavo Fontalba said, Henry Garcia about to eat a lot of dirt. Damn, I actually called Henry. And now ESPN is coming out with the story now. I actually called Henry because I didn't want to make excuses for Devin losing the fight because I, like most people, picked Ryan to win. I've spoke so highly about Devin. And so when Ryan proved me wrong and proved the world wrong, I didn't want to make any excuses. I just wanted to give the kid full credit. Even if maybe I thought this or that or this or that, I pretty much just threw it out the window and said he was the better man and he won because of trying to do the right moral character thing to do. So I called Henry Garcia the day after the fight, before I was going to go on Sean's show, on the Porterway podcast. And I said, hey, Henry, just so you know, I know you're calling people pieces of shit that picked against Ryan. I picked against Ryan. I'm going to bring up the weight on Sean's show, but I'm not going to say that's why Ryan won the fight. I'm just going to point out that not making a contracted weight for a title fight is not cool. It's not professional. And while I won't take the next step and say that's why he won the fight, I will point it out. And I had a good discussion with Henry, and he understood where I was coming from. But to your point, Gustavo, Henry, if this positive test holds up, Henry and Ryan being of Christian faith, if nothing else, too, they should eat some words because they showed a lot of hubris in the aftermath of beating Devin Haney. And of course, one of the Christian ideals is grace and mercy and humility, and they kind of displayed none of those things after proving everyone wrong. But how wrong did they prove us? In fact, if you had to blow weight and take a performance enhancing drug to win the fight, but we'll leave it at that and let the situation play out. And again, I think Team Garcia will point out that VADA, which isn't USADA, it's not WADA, it's not backed by a government agency like USADA is. It's a voluntary thing that has a close-knit relationship with Victor Conti, who's like this with the Haney camp. So they will point out that, but I'm getting texts from everywhere about that. But ultimately, this fight may, if Ryan's test holds up, then it should be overruled to a no contest. But even if it is overruled a no contest, Devin should not disregard the lessons he was probably beginning to learn as he was getting over the grief of losing his undefeated record. He may have that undefeated record back, but he shouldn't toss aside some of the technical adjustments he may be thinking about in the aftermath since that fight and all of that. He should still gladly take the no contest if that's what's coming his way, but still use it as a God blessed you with a way to somehow learn all these brutal lessons that would come from a loss. But in the end, you may not actually have your first loss. So, but don't drift away from any of the lessons that you've been internalizing over the last 10 to 11 days. So, Check Hook 12 says, I'm calling BS. Wouldn't this have come out before the fight? Come on. Beef Murphy said Devin Haney should sue Ryan Garcia. Ryu said it has a good chance to be overruled, Sean. 3+ pounds and PEDs is tough to overcome, Sean Zittel. What did Zero say? Devin the Dude Haney. Yeah, like the rapper, right? Let me say what's up to a few other people. Boxing analysts. All right, everyone. All right, so let's move on with Canelo-Munguia, shall we? Before we got blindsided by this huge news. I think Oscar... So there's two sides to every story. Oscar has his side. Canelo has his side. I feel confident that there's truth in both of those. I don't think Oscar made things any easier on Haney-Munguia. I think you could say that getting into a guy's head before the fight helps. I mean, it worked for Ryan against Devin. They made Devin fight out of character a little bit. But Canelo's a naturally aggressive fighter anyways. And Munguia's not some kind of fighter that wants you to overcommit to punches so he could take advantage and counter and all that. He's looking to fight too. I think he's looking to use his length under Freddie Roach because in the John Ryder fight, he used his length well in that fight and fought his best fight up until this point. I legit saw some improvements from the Derevianchenko. The guy who fought Derevianchenko is going to get stopped in 6 to 8 rounds. But the guy that fought Ryder looked improved, and I still think Canelo wins this fight. Full stop. I think Canelo wins the fight. But I had Canelo by decision when I gave my prediction on the Porter Way. And now Oscar may have helped Munguia get knocked out because you don't tug on Superman's cape. With the great ones, usually pissing them off helps them. It doesn't hurt them. And Canelo's one of the great ones. And Haney-Munguia is a hard kid to get angry at. Haney-Munguia is such a good guy. And interestingly enough, shout out to my friend Lily, who covers boxing media too. Got her channel Exiana Boxing, got more subscribers than I do. She pointed out something very interesting to me last week. She said, I love Munguia. Lily is Mexican and speaks perfect Spanish. So she's been conversating with Munguia in the lead up to the fight. And she said, one thing that he never told me was I'm going to win. He said that a few times this week, finally. But for the most part, it was just, I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's going to be a great fight for the Mexican fans. Kind of the fans are the winner kind of stuff. And this week, he said he's going to win because he's been pushed to ask it at the press conferences. Canelo says he's going to knock you out in 8 rounds. What do you say? And he's prompted by it, and now he says he's going to win. Anyways, Munguia is a hard guy to get angry at. If you're Canelo, he's a nice Mexican kid that you're given the opportunity. Oscar just helped fill that fuel. Just put a little bit of something in that tank. And I don't think it's going to help Munguia. I think it'll hurt Munguia. And Oscar feels like, and that mojo that Oscar carried into that moment, the upset Garcia had over Haney may have been taken away from him 2, 3, 4 hours after he threw down the gauntlet at Canelo. Now, part of what Oscar talked about is, what is me being a drug addict, me having my sexual persuasions, what does that have to do with you, though? What does that have to do with you, right? That's my business. That's my crosses to bear. But then Canelo retorted with, no, you stole my money. You fucked me out of money. So it got real ugly. Let's take a look at it, man. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what went down. This is your boy getting that footage. Here we go.
Please welcome Oscar De La Hoya.
Thank you very much. Please sit down. Thank you very much for being here for what I truly believe will be the changing of the guard of Mexican boxing from Canelo Alvarez to Haney-Munguia. My sole purpose in this promotion is to support Jaime, an undefeated, incredible talent who deserves a stage and spotlight at this point of his career. However, I would be remiss if I didn't respond to the man I used to promote. He seems to have trouble remembering who helped him become a true global star. To be clear, I have nothing but respect for Canelo Alvarez as a fighter. His record and abilities speak for themselves. But he has spent much of the last 2 months insulting me rather than promoting this fight. So I'll make it a little bit easier for him. Yes, I have faced a lot of challenges in my life. Yes, I've been to rehab several times.
Hold on. We had someone in the chat. Chad King said, show me a real source saying this is not a black YouTube account or Twitter account. Which source is blacks on YouTube? Well, sir, allow me to retort to your racist comment there. Dan Raphael is not what you referenced. So Dan Raphael, you might have heard him. Might have heard of him, Chad King. The guy who did ESPN for 2 decades and is headed to the International Boxing Hall of Fame one day. This was his story. So yeah, just to respond to that real quick. Back to Oscar.
Yes, there were some really low points in my life, and yes, there were times that work was not my priority based on my mental health, which I had neglected for so long. But that doesn't change the fact that Golden Boy built Canelo Alvarez, period. The company you fought under for decades has always had one name, and it's mine. So put some fucking respect on it. As for Jaime, he has always dared to be great, just as he's this Saturday night. And this serves...
Canelo's saying, don't fucking talk to me like that. Oscar's Oscar, man. Oscar, Oscar is from East LA, is a 6th division champion, and I told you guys on lives months ago, back on Fight Hype, that he's reinvigorated. And whether you agree with this or not, I think what looks bad is this would have made more sense if Oscar said this in 2018 and 2019, but he wasn't in the kind of shape and state to come back at Canelo with whatever his grievances are, whatever his side of the story is. So it doesn't come off as good for Oscar, for many, because he's hijacking the event, even though it's probably actually helping promote the event. But when you bring up old stuff, it always makes you look extra bitter and resentful. But to be fair to Oscar, he wasn't really in, from his own doing, his own lifestyle choices, but he wasn't really in the kind of shape and mental state to give his side of the story. And now a reinvigorated De La Hoya does, whether you agree with it or not. And so this is what he did.
It's a bit of a full circle for him. Remember when Jaime was 21 years old, volunteered to step in against Triple G, and Canelo failed 2 drug tests? Though Jaime wasn't allowed to fulfill...
Good clapbacks by Oscar. Canelo likes to mention the utensils with Oscar, the drug addiction with Oscar. So Canelo mentions, well, speaking of drugs, you popped a couple times. And
his dream, 2018. On Saturday night, he will do just...
And one thing Oscar De La Hoya could say, I don't think any of it, maybe except the first Mosley fight in LA. Maybe that, if we're just speculating. But outside of that first Mosley fight, I don't think anyone would ever mistake an Oscar for being on steroids or anything like that. So
fulfill his dream and be world champion.
Now, si habla español un poquito, un muy poquito, pero I know what pinche maricón cabrón means. So.
Escribes pendejo, tú no escribes nada, cabrón.
And Canelo wanted to fight.
¿Qué decir este pinche maricón, cabrón? Tú no escribes, ¿qué no escribes, pendejo? Tú no escribes nada, cabrón.
Oscar gave him that look like, yeah, I said what I said, and what you ain't gonna do nothing about it. You can't do nothing about it.
All right, let's have everyone.
Hey, fireworks, because Oscar brought some fireworks to the press conference because Canelo and Munguia are too respectful of one another that we weren't going to get any fireworks with that. So it's good that it probably helped promote the fight. Bad for Munguia, though. I don't think that helped Munguia's chances. I think it hurt it. I think he tugged on Superman's cape, and Jaime is going to be the one who has to answer for Oscar's words in there. So, yeah, I don't think so. But I don't think it helped his fighter. It probably helped promote the fight, though. And Oscar, not to speak out of turn, but to be honest and to be observant, Oscar is or was, and maybe still is, I would think, definitely was in the fresh aftermath, the first 8-9 years, first 5-6 years after his retirement, when he was fresh from retirement, he kind of is to Mexican and Mexican-American fighters what Floyd Mayweather is to Black American fighters, where if you get that glowing endorsement from him, it does something for you. And like Floyd did for Tank, like Floyd did for Devin and Errol Spence and Kermel Moton. Oscar kind of putting that, a stamp of approval on a guy like Canelo or Abner Mares even, that helped them, and it helped them in their career. I don't know how much weight it still carries, but around the early 2010s when Oscar helped bring Canelo to the United States to fight, got him marquee opponents like Sugar Shane on his way up, it helped him. And so Oscar has his point. I helped make you a global star, made you a star in the U.S. You were already picked from the choir. Mexico, the boxing savvy country that it is, they knew what Canelo was going to be before any of us in America did. They knew, because they know their boxing. But once Oscar brought him to the United States, he greatly boosted his profile in the United States. So Oscar's contention is, look, I helped you. I helped make you an American star. I helped get you paid. The DAZN deal I originally brokered for you in 2018 was one of the biggest contracts that a fighter had ever seen. Probably the second biggest to only Floyd Mayweather's Showtime deal. And all the stuff you're complaining about, my drug use, my sexual persuasions, that's my business. That don't got nothing to do with you. And then from Canelo, it's no, you fucked me out of money. I saw the DAZN contract. There were things in there that weren't to my knowledge that I wasn't okay with. And that's why we went to court. And I took you to court for that shit and got out of it because it was a shitty, and I had enough right about what you were doing in the contract that the judge allowed me to leave the deal only 2 or 3 fights into a, what was it, chat? Like a 9, 10, 11 fight deal, something huge with DAZN at the time. And he got out of it. The judge let him get out of it. So that speaks some volumes to Canelo's point. And then the weekend of my biggest fight of my career, you couldn't attend it. You had to go to rehab the weekend of Canelo versus Mayweather. So they both have their point. And then ultimately Canelo's point too is you don't even give a fuck about Jaime Munguia. You hardly said anything about him. You made it all about you. So that just shows you what kind of person and promoter you are. And on Oscar's side, I made you all that money and helped make you a star, and all you could do is disrespect me and talk about my personal issues. That shows you what kind of person you are. So they both got their point. So let's see. Let's get to Canelo's retort. Let's get to Canelo now.
Back in September, he is the undisputed super middleweight world champion, the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí. Como siempre, bien preparado, con mucho entusiasmo, contento de poder presentar esta pelea ante dos mexicanos, la primera vez en la historia, peleando los 4 títulos, contento por eso, que estamos a unos días, obviamente él viene a ganar, yo vengo a ganar, eso quiere decir que va a ser una gran pelea, ¿no? Nos respetamos abajo del cuadrilátero, pero no quiere decir que vengamos a jugar matatena, ¿no? Venimos a pelear, venimos a darlo todo, el sábado vamos a ganar contundentemente y a eso venimos, que todo el mundo disfrute y que sea una fiesta mexicana. Y para este imbécil intento de gente que tengo aquí a mi izquierda, que no
Now, I don't speak Spanish, but I believe at this moment when he turned his head, he said, quote, "Now let me get to this motherfucker right here." Is that what he said? For my chat that si habla español, is that he said that, right? Let me get to this motherfucker right here.
Mexicano. Y para este imbécil intento de gente que tengo aquí a mi izquierda, que no se le olvide que yo ya vine siendo el Canelo a Estados Unidos y que solamente lucró con mi nombre. Nunca perdí un solo centavo, sino más ganó dinero. ¿Ya le pagaste a Golovkin lo que le quería robar?
There, I know he said, did you pay money, Golovkin his money yet?
Sí, muy bien, porque sí, también, pero si no hubiera metido a mis abogados, me lo robas. Es lo único que hace este hombre es ser una lacra del boxeo, robarle a los boxeadores. Para el que esté con él, meta por favor ahí a sus abogados, porque seguramente les está robando. El único que viene a hacer al boxeo. Y a lo único que viene es a robarle la atención a Haney-Munguia. No viene a promoverlo. También le roba la atención a la gente que hace las cosas para la cocina. Ya no saben si hacerlas como consoladores o como cazuelas o algo. Porque acá se las mete el muchacho. Gracias a todos. Nos vemos el sábado.
And then he said it again.
All right. So, like Munguia and I were gonna to be here for the first time, and then Hoya said that we're like things that with the Golovkin fight.
Here it is.
He tried to steal money, and he's a fucking asshole. That's what I said. He's a fucking asshole. He tried to keep the attention for him, not for Munguia. He's a fucking asshole. He steals his fighters. That's what he do.
Damn.
Okay, and yeah.
So Oscar responded to that, and let me get to a quick super chat from my man Molly Mall. Always great to see you, Molly Mall. Thank you, brother. Molly Mall with the super chat says Calzaghe ranks higher all time than Canelo. I agree. If we're talking super middleweight, if we're talking pound for pound, that's a different discussion. But I'll get to super middleweight. I think I have Canelo as the 4th greatest super middleweight in the division's history. At number 1, I have Roy Jones, who may not have the lengthy resume that Joe Calzaghe has, but I know what my eyes saw on tape. Roy Jones is the greatest 168-pounder that ever lived. Number 2, Joe Calzaghe. Number 3, Andre Ward. Number 4, Canelo Alvarez. And number 5, James Toney. So and I actually think James might have beaten Canelo head-to-head, but Canelo became undisputed. James never unified. James, after the Roy loss, never did anything at 68. So I'll put Canelo. They're close enough on the eye test that I could put Canelo ahead of him with the gap in accomplishments in 68. But head-to-head, Toney probably would have favored James Toney. But that's my top 5 super middleweights. Thank you, Molly Mall. So, and quickly, we got a translation from my man Blancott. Canelo said... Oh, wait, that's all in Spanish. Sheesh. Anyway, Calzaghe ahead of Ward. I got to put Joe, Mikkel Kessler, and Jeff Lacey. And it's a good discussion, but Bernard and Roy was at light heavyweight, wasn't it? Well, I just think Joe having 20 title defenses at super middleweight, becoming undisputed. Andre became unified. He was the champ. He was the man at 168. Beat Froch, Kessler, Abraham. Got ducked by Andre Durrell, beat Chad Dawson, making Dawson come down. So it's close, but I think Calzaghe getting all 4 and having 20 title defenses puts him just a little notch above Andre. And I got Roy ahead of everyone. So that's my list. That's my list. I think there's an argument for Dre over Calzaghe for sure. And that's a 50-50 type fight had they have fought. It might have even edged it to Andre, but I don't know. Joe is great. We're talking about the best of the best. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So, Oscar, in response to saying that what Canelo said about he steals money from fighters, he threatened to sue Canelo. So let's check that out.
My opinion is my opinion, and the facts are the facts. That's it. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a. Am I going up here?
No. I just didn't want you to.
I'm not anybody. All I know is that he failed 2 drug tests.
Oscar, what did you make of Canelo's comments?
What comments? What did he say?
I do want to say, Canelo. You know what? I can't even lie, man. My man Paul Magno on Twitter pointed out a fact that Canelo accounted for 94% of Golden Boy's business for a good couple of years there. So, you know, Canelo helped keep that company afloat. That's a fact for years. When Oscar was at his lowest point in his post-retirement from fighting kind of, you know, path, he was at his lowest, and Canelo keep that company solely afloat. This is when Oscar would only show up just before main event time and was not present. He's reinvigorated now, but Canelo did help keep it afloat, and it's fair to bring that up.
I've been called worse.
What did he say to you up there?
Huh?
What did he say to you up there?
There's nothing he can say. What is he going to say about me? What?
He said you stole money on him. What do you make of those comments?
It's defamation. I mean, look, I take it very serious of what I do and how I do it, and my work and my company is very, very serious. So for him to, that's defamation. And you know what? I have something coming for him.
Oscar, how
Okay, well, there's the threat. There's the threat, chat. Oscar saying he may try to sue Canelo for defamation.
long were you waiting to get that off?
With Canelo Alvarez making those comments, he's been relatively calm. He looks like he was up in arms a little while ago. He looks.
You can see him and hear him. Get off me.
This scrum was crazy, chat.
Oscar, ¿esperabas esa reacción tú de Canelo Álvarez cuando le pediste algo de respeto?
Yo creo que de esto se trata y es una pelea, no va a ser algo de iglesia o no va a ser una pelea y yo creo que mira yo dije la verdad. Yo solamente digo la verdad.
All right, let's skip past my man Chava speaking that Spanish.
Oscar, do you think?
Respond like that, Oscar.
Don't worry, your boy's gonna get his question in part 2.
Excuse me.
Te colmó la paciencia, Oscar, ya que quieres jugar este rato.
Do you feel like Munguia can expose?
Look at Oscar, he loves it. Now he knows he brought all the attention to himself, and he loves it.
I truly feel now's the moment.
What's the blueprint, Oscar?
Ya te tenía harta.
Everybody has their moment. Everybody has their time. You know, just the way Chavez had his time, just the way I had my time, just the way Pacquiao has his time. Just everybody has their time. And I strongly feel that the stars can be aligned on Saturday night, and Jaime can take advantage of it.
Oscar, what were your thoughts when he got up on stage after you made those comments? He got up, started to approach you. What were your thoughts?
No, I was ready. Clenched fist and all, I was ready. But obviously he's not going to do anything. He's going to fight on Saturday.
So why do you think he did that? Or do you feel like it was just the natural you getting under his skin?
Because he can't take the truth. You know, it's like I've always been saying, you know, fighters like that, it's you know, they can't have me around because, you know, the attention is diverted off them, and he hates that. So I know how to get under his skin, you know. And so hey, it's fight week. It's game on. Shit, we're not at church, you know. This is a fight. Let's go.
Could this affect the outcome? Do you think that helped timing? Could this affect the outcome?
Oh yeah, when you're distracted in your head and you're thinking about me, I mean, it can be detrimental to his concentration, to his game plan. So hopefully it worked.
Oscar, could you?
Damn. Good fight. It's good fight week stuff. So part 2, I finally got some questions in with Oscar.
Will you guys ever bury the hatchet, or you think that ship is sailed and sailing? Or?
No, look, I'm one to always bury a hatchet, but that ship has sailed.
What's the blueprint?
I'll tell you one thing. If there's one person in the world, okay, that I will not bury the hatchet with, it's probably him.
Come on, chat. Who got Oscar to stop and talk that? Come on.
World, okay, that I will not bury the hatchet with, it's probably him.
Why?
And you know me, you guys know me. Yeah. I'm a nice guy. I deal with everybody. Even with Fernando Var, even with Mayorga, even with, you know, that's just who I am. But this guy, I mean, look, the shit that he said about me, about the drugs and the rehabs, and okay, wow, I wasn't with you You're getting mad because I wasn't with you when you fought Mayweather, your biggest fight where you got embarrassed. Because I wasn't with you. Guess what? Because I was taken to rehab, and so you're putting your foot.
Damn, he said I was taken to rehab. Not I entered rehab or checked myself in. I was taken to rehab. So he's saying, look, I was gonna be fucked up ringside like I was at that time at every other fight, but they took me to rehab. And I imagine Oscar says that's in concert with the sabotage of his company from Schaefer and Espinoza and Heyman and
my neck.
His version of events.
Down, you know, and you talk shit. Okay, well, guess what? Enough is enough. And this is a perfect moment because, yes, did I get into his head? Absolutely. I mean, that's not my plan, but it's, you know, my plan is just to say the truth. That's it. You know, the two failed drug tests with Triple G, and then Jaime, you know, raising his hand, wanting to fight Triple G instead of Canelo. I mean, look, Jaime is game for anything, to fight anybody at any time. And you know, that's why we love Jaime.
Oscar, what's the blueprint to beat Canelo Saturday for Jaime?
I don't know the blueprint, but I do know that he's walking on quicksand now. I do know that his injuries are catching up to him. I do know that he's an old 33 years old, because in boxing you can be old even at 25, depending on your wars that you've been in. So just like me, I was old at 30. You know, so it depends on your lifestyle. Depends on, you know. So it's, I think Jaime Munguia's youth. I think the stars are aligned for Jaime Munguia to take advantage of this situation Saturday.
Do you think Canelo's saying 8 rounds massively pace?
Well, yeah. Good stuff. Good promotion there, getting us more interested in the fight. I still got Canelo. I picked Canelo by decision because I talked to Freddie Roach and I asked Freddie, do you think Canelo's at the stage where Manny was at in his 30s, where he's still hurting guys, still putting them down, but he's not getting the stoppages because the energy level isn't what it once was? He has enough to put you down, but sometimes not enough to step on that throttle and get you out of there with the next sequence of punches. But Oscar may have given this great champion who's entering into the real meat of his 30s, maybe aging a little bit at this stage, but still great, still an all-time great force, Canelo. And maybe he gave him something a little extra to put that extra combination or two together to get the knockout. So I actually think Canelo's knockout chances have increased with Oscar pissing him off. I don't think it'll get Canelo off his game. But if Munguia upsets Canelo, I won't be as shocked as I was 2 weeks ago in Brooklyn when Ryan upset Devin, although now we got to see if that remains an upset or a no contest. But, you know, Munguia doesn't know how to lose. He is not strong as Canelo, but big kid nonetheless, taller, good combination puncher who is coming off the best performance of his career against John Ryder. I thought he looked really good. And yeah, you know what? I think someone even better than me at talking should take it from here. Let's check out real quick. I haven't dropped this yet, so this is exclusive. Sean Zittel exclusive. Let's check this out because I didn't make this official yet. But let's listen to the Lampster give his thoughts on what chance Jaime Munguia actually has in this fight. Let's hear it.
Do you give Jaime Munguia in this fight? Canelo's talking about knockout in 8 rounds, but a lot of people say his defensive deficiencies will hold him back from winning this fight. What do you think, Jeff?
That's coin of the realm. That's what most people think. That's what I am told by other experts to think. I have liked Munguia since the first time I covered him, the first time I met him on HBO. I became an advocate for Munguia. I did a feature piece on him on the Fight Game. I believed he could be important. He's 43-0. He looked better against John Ryder than Canelo did. It's only one fight.
Facts. He did.
It's only one opponent. Styles make fights, but for whatever reason, he looked better against John Ryder than Canelo did. So, Freddie Roach, in my estimation, the greatest trainer in the sport, says to me that Munguia has a chance. I don't think Freddie says that kind of stuff just to be saying it. I have to believe he's got a chance. The logical pick is the fighter with the proven best chin in the sport and the proven best counterpunching skills in the sport, taking advantage of Munguia's natural instinct punches enough to win either
Sorry,
in
Chad.
the sport, taking advantage of Munguia's natural instinct to come forward and attack, and catching him with counter punches enough to win either a decision or a TKO. That's the logical pick. But logic doesn't always dictate in a boxing ring. And if Freddie Roach says to me, Munguia's got a good chance, then I think maybe good is an exaggeration, but he's got a chance.
2 weeks ago, we found out logic doesn't always dictate.
100%. I walked into Barclays Center expecting one thing and came out bowled over by the other thing. So yes, as I said to you that night, boxing is the theater of the unexpected. Larry invented the phrase, or he borrowed it from somewhere, effectively, and that is correct. You can go in here being as certain as you want to be about what's going to go down, and for most people that means Canelo by knockout or Canelo by unanimous decision. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. And Munguia is a good person with strong determination, 43-0 background, and a new trainer on his side. You got to give him a shot.
Lastly,
So yeah, good stuff as always by the Hall of Famer, my man Jim Lampley. So people are saying Ryan denied it. Well, that's to be expected. But I gotta go Canelo in this fight. Even though I think Munguia looked better in that fight against Ryder, he kept his distance better. He was a little sharper. He started throwing this straight right hand that was straight. He didn't have to sweep it to get extra power on it. He does put together some good combinations. That's all good. Problem is, he doesn't get out of the way of much. Even in beating Ryder, he didn't get out of the way of much. And Zero in the chat, he said that he thought the Canelo Ryder fight was pretty brutal. It was, and I do think that played a role in why Munguia stopped him and Canelo didn't. I think Canelo softened up Ryder, gave him a fat check towards the end of his career, dropped him what felt like 7 times, even though what he officially dropped him, 2, 3, 4 times. It felt like he dropped him a million times in that fight. Ryder just kept getting up and had all heart. I think Canelo beat some of the stuffing out of Ryder before Munguia got to him, but Munguia still stopped him. If Munguia can take Canelo's power, it's on. It's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. If Munguia could take Canelo's power, it's war. It's wartime. It's a real war is going to break out if Munguia can just absorb the power of Canelo. I don't see that happening because he's been hurt by guys who are much smaller punchers and men and lower weight. Derevianchenko had him out on his feet a couple of times. The Derevianchenko fight, even though, again, I've seen him improve since that fight last year. It was last year's fight of the year. But Derevianchenko is the same frame as Canelo, just many levels below. Derevianchenko's a good fighter, but many levels below Canelo Alvarez. And he was able to light Munguia up with basically land at will, and Munguia just outpunched him. That ain't going to happen with Canelo. That's not going to happen. I think Munguia is going to be more patient and disciplined and try to keep his range better. But if you were getting lit up by Sergey Derevianchenko, and John Ryder was lifting your head up with uppercuts when the few times he did get off, what are you going to do to get out of the way of the explosive speed and precision and punch arsenal of Canelo Alvarez? Good luck to you. The reason why I didn't pick Canelo by knockout was he is getting older. And again, to liken him to Pacquiao. Pacquiao at that age was still dropping guys, still fucking them up, but not getting the stoppages anymore because that gas tank a little bit. And so that's why I had Canelo by decision. I'll be live Friday to see if the pick's still going to be Canelo, barring something just huge happening at the weigh-in, or just some kind of epiphany coming to me from the boxing angels, like Sugar Ray Robinson looking over us here on Sean Zittel Live on the chat. But barring the boxing angels like Henry Armstrong or Sugar Ray or Salvador Sanchez coming down and giving me a vision, it's still going to be Canelo. But Friday, I'll make my mind up whether Oscar's antics with Canelo or back and forth with Canelo tugged on Superman's cape and makes me have to go from a decision to a knockout. Part of me wonders, is Canelo saying KO inside of 8 because he doesn't want to at 33 years old go 12 rounds at the kind of pace Munguia will take him to? Does he say, that's not good for me? Let me get this kid out of here early inside of 8, because if I don't get him inside of 8, it's going to be a long night because of the pace this kid throws. And that's what I mean. Again, if Munguia could take Canelo's power, it's on. It's on. And the war will be on. That's Munguia's path to victory. He could take the power of Canelo, and he pushes the pace to make Canelo, who only threw 30 punches around against Charlo, gassed and uncomfortable, to where, kind of like down the stretch of the Bivol fight, all Canelo can do is get out of the way defensively, but he doesn't have the energy to make you pay and make you miss and make you pay, just enough to make you miss. That even happened at the Jacobs fight a little bit, right, chat? In the second half of that fight, he stopped letting his hands in. Jacobs was able to claw his way back into the scorecards because Canelo, his gas tank, at least answering the counters by making the guy miss, he wasn't getting off the counters in the second half of Jacobs, second half of Bivol. So that's how Munguia wins. Is he's able to absorb the power, even though he's never been down in his career. And even though tough, undefeated Mexican fighters tend to take a good shot, his legs have been wobbled badly, not buzzed, but badly, by guys like Derevianchenko, who, again, have the same frame as Canelo, but Canelo's several levels above in power and in precision and skill and even speed. He's fast, Canelo. We forget, because he's so muscle-bound and hits so hard with both hands and loads up on punches, that he's fast. And so I think he's faster than Munguia, and he punches harder than Munguia, and he's more experienced than Munguia, and he's got a better defense than Munguia. But Munguia's taller and busier and younger. So, you know, we shall see. We shall see, my friends. But yeah, I got to go Canelo. I have George Kambosos set to do an interview with me at 7:30 in about 45 minutes. So I will get off relatively soon. But let me see. No Name says Munguia leans over the front foot. Let's see what else you guys got. Clean cut stacks. We don't have too many people in the live. Only about 200. Everyone must be watching the Ryan lives or more entertaining lives than this one. So I thank everyone for sticking around the 200. GDDD earlier asked me about why I mentioned the first De La Hoya Mosley fight. That's just me looking at Oscar's body and noticing it had a certain definition and muscle tone to it that he never had in most of his other fights. That's all. What we do know is Mosley tested positive for the second fight with De La Hoya. He was for sure on some PEDs. And Sugar Shane's one of my favorite fighters of all time. It doesn't really diminish him in my eyes because he was so awesome. But I did think Oscar may have won that second fight. And especially when you add on that Shane was on the Balco stuff at the time. Victor Conte's still in boxing. Associated with Haney, but it's Ryan Garcia who pops positive. And associated with Crawford and Haney and so many great fighters. But yeah, I just think that, yeah. To answer your question, DD, I said that because just how his body looked in the first fight. But outside of that, Oscar always just looked clean as a whistle. Nothing that even make you raise an eyebrow. Nothing physique-wise or stamina-wise. He got tired late in fights, so he wasn't on that shit that fattens your blood cells probably or anything. I don't know. But so yeah. Boston says Munguia throws a ton of punches and his combinations terrible against a counterpuncher like Canelo. That is what we all believe. But if Munguia is keeping his distance good, David Benavidez gave him the game plan. Let's go to David real quick. Had a good interview with David where he gave the perfect game plan. Gave a good game plan to Munguia. Let's check that out real quick. We don't got to watch the whole video. Hold on. We don't want these ads all on my page. Almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and all right. There we go. The table after Munguia. Is it on? Are you going back to 68 at the end of the year if that's what it is?
If I get the fight after, because that's not true. That they made
Besides an extra 20, 25 pounds.
That I offer besides 25 pounds. And if you see the fighters that give Canelo problems with a combination punch.
Here it is.
Munguia, he's a strong fighter. He's a combination puncher. And if you see the fighters that give Canelo problems with a combination puncher. You know what I mean? It's just that the only thing that Munguia has to do is he has to keep his distance. He can't be in there on the inside with Canelo because that's what...
See, if he keeps the distance, the counters for Canelo are not going to be as easy to come by. And to Munguia and Freddie Roach's credit, he kept his distance much better against John Ryder than he did against Derevianchenko. So...
Canelo thrives at. He loves throwing those body shots, and he will find it. So he has to keep the distance. punching combinations and get out the way. If he doesn't have to be there, then don't be there. Don't receive unnecessary punishment.
It's good advice. It's good
Yeah.
advice.
I've been watching Canelo for a long time. So.
David's laughing. Like, if I'm not going to fight him, I might as well finally give the game plan that I always had to beat him.
I got a good game plan for him. But if Munguia is able to do that,
you know, David just gave you his game plan, right?
And it's going to be a tough fight because Munguia could crack too. Munguia could crack. You can see that when he fought John Ryder. You know, he's power punch. He could crack. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be easy, like how people say it is. You know, Munguia is a tough fighter. You know, he's Mexican blood. He's a warrior. So it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, in addition to everything you said, good advice to him. Yeah, that pace, I would think, is how he wins. Is Canelo can't handle that pace. If he could take the power, Munguia could take Canelo's power. But does he get out of the way of shots enough to you know what I mean? Is that the big thing? Well, that's kind of what you're saying. Don't get in there where you're going to get caught and keep him on the end of your shots. But does he just not get out of the way of shots enough?
To be honest with you, I can't. I mean, he does get hit a lot, but sometimes in boxing, when you're staying in there, it's inevitable. You're going to get hit if you don't move.
Andre Ward said, you're going to get some when you bring some. So Andre Ward, who, you know, has a great defense, he said, you know, when you fight more an aggressive style and you're trying to put more hurt on the other guy, you got to cut some slack defensively as opposed to fighting off the back foot.
You're going to get hit. I would say the only way that he could probably, you know, go about to not getting hit is maybe if he practiced, you know, crazy head movement the whole training camp. You know, it's not hard.
That in one camp?
Huh?
Can you really improve?
Yeah. Yeah, bro. You just got to be committed to it. You know, you got to be committed to it and stick to the game plan, like the coaches say. So if he does that, you know what I mean? I think if he remembers his training, if he did a lot of head movement or, you know, used a lot of jabs, you know, he's bigger, he's longer arms, you know, he has all the tools to beat Canelo. But, you know, what we're going to see who really is the better man on next weekend.
Well, there you go. Good breakdown by my man David. Let me see what's up. Sean, do you think Beterbiev can break Ward's defense if they ever fought? Oh, that'd been a great fight, man. That'd have been a great fight. Dre was a little bit better at 68 than he was 75, but he really showed out in the rematch with Kovalev. I did think Kovalev won the first fight, but Dre showed up twice the fighter he did in the first fight, got that knockout, that stoppage. That's a great fight. That's a great fight. Part of me wants to favor Andre on his best night because he's just such a great technical fighter, so smart. But maybe Beterbiev's power and the fact that he's a natural light heavyweight would have been too much for Dre. And Dre gets touched. You know, Dre at 75 especially would get touched. Got touched in the two Kovalev fights. And Beterbiev beat Kovalev in the amateurs. It'd have been a 50-50 fight. It'd have been a 50-50 fight. I don't know. Maybe my American bias is showing. I don't know. But I don't know. It's a 50-50 type fight. Dre, I think, is definitely more skilled than Artur Beterbiev, but Beterbiev has plenty of skills to catch up to the more skilled guys. He has plenty of skills to hold his own with the more skilled fighter, to let what he's got that's special, his power and his aggression, intelligent aggression, you know, maybe that would have been enough to break Andre and beat him. But I don't know, 50-50 fight. Off the top of my head, I'd give an edge to Ward because, you know, the boxer usually has a slight edge over the puncher, but Beterbiev's not just a puncher. He's a very good technical fighter too. Dre's a little bit is better, in my opinion. So, yeah. Let's see. I like the tactical talk rather than narrative boxing stuff. Yeah, I hear you, Zero. I know. But I get a little greasy sometimes too. Got to talk about the gossip hour stuff too sometimes. It's relevant to the sport, but I hear what you're saying, Zero. Sean, who is your top 5 nowadays? Terrence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, Alexander Usyk, Canelo Alvarez. That 5th one is hard. The winner of Bivol Beterbiev might be it. Maybe one of the young guns, T.O., Shakur, Devin, now that he might be undefeated again. I don't know. Bam Rodriguez is exceptional. Thank you, babe. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that, chat. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody. sword.
You have a sword? Can you give your fight pick, Leo? Canelo or Munguia? Come here. He's güerito like Canelo. This boy is his mama's Mexican. Now I'm obviously not, but he is. So this is Canelo Jr. right here. This is the güerito. Who you got? Canelo or Munguia? You not Munguia? Canelo or Munguia? Whoa, no, see, Mama got the Canelo. No, see, that's for everyone who thinks I'm this Canelo hater. Because I asked them some questions. We have Canelo in the background. My son is güerito like Canelo. So yeah.
Here, we gotta get going. Come on, Liam.
All right.
Go back upstairs.
Sammy, we should have had you come down to translate what Canelo said. But she's got the baby. Oh yeah, this is Sophia's first debut on a live. Let me see. Go ahead, Sophia.
Oh no, careful! You're gonna drop it. I'll take him upstairs.
All right, I'm gonna get off this live in a minute. Eat. Get ready for the George Kambosos interview. Corey Briggs. It just things that had to don't want to get into that too much. Thanks for asking though, Corey. Which just is what it is. They're gonna continue to dominate and be great. I'm still gonna watch Fight Hype like all the time. But when I need to catch up on what happened today, I'm gonna go to Fight Hype. No, I just doing my own thing, man. Trying to carve out my own slice for myself in this game, and God willing, do well. So, but thanks for asking, Corey. Zero said, beautiful family, boss. Thank you, sir. Clean cut stacks. Got the Mexican flags in there. What's up, Mr. Quake? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you in the chat. Meltdown said, just followed my guy. Thank you. Boston's, appreciate it, man. Bebop Jones says, beautiful family and puppy. Yeah, I know. She's going to listen in on the live now. You know what that dog's name is? B-Hop. B-Hop. That's her name. B-Hop. Come here, Bernard. B-Hop, come here, baby. She's getting old. She can't even hear me anymore. Come here, baby. Come here. Yes, we have a Bernard Hopkins. We have a B-Hop cameo on the live. This is B-Hop. This is a poor baby getting blind in those eyes. You can see it. But say hi, B-Hop. What was your favorite performance? Was it Trinidad? Was it Tarver? Was it doing the push-ups against Pascal? Was it one of my favorites, the rematch with Antoine Eccles? We got to do that on Throwback Thursday. Which one was it, champ? Okay, I'll let you go. But yeah. Oh, thank you for saying cute dog. Thank you, 90. Thank you, 90 with woke. Hector Lopez said adorable. Frank Mayen said Joe Dirt. Get another dog and name him Oscar, please. Well, that would just be straight Golden Boy dick riding at that point. I would name the other dog maybe Salvador or Sugar or Terrible. Comme Eric. I don't know. Something, maybe Sugar after Sugar Ray Leonard. Maybe Salvador or Sal after Salvador Sanchez. Maybe just name a little bit puppy Ali. So Ali, come here, Ali. By the way, Muhammad Ali, favorite heavyweight of all time. I know, cliche, right? Like, of course he is. But Muhammad Ali, that's why he's right behind me, right next to Canelo. In between Morales Barrera and Canelo is Muhammad Ali because he is the GOAT. He is the greatest heavyweight of all time. No doubt about it. So, yeah. Chava, Hector Lopez says, Tito versus Bud at 154. Let's see Bud at 154 first. Let's see how Bud looks against Madrimal. That's a good fight. I think you got to favor Bud. Bud, if he maintains the level he was at the Spence fight, is the best fighter in boxing. Him and Inoue. But yeah. So let's see. But Bud versus Tito, I mean, Tito was spectacular at 154. Tito might have been even better at 54 than he was at 47. But I don't know, though. That mid-90s welterweight Trinidad against Maurice Blocker and Yuri Boy Campus was a motherfucker. But he was nasty at 54 too. Let's let Terrence put some work in at 54 before we do a hypothetical with the great Tito Trinidad. Sean, your floors are shining. They are. We get some good. My wife keeps this place very clean. This is also my wife's gym. You can't see it, but you see a little bit of it back there, right? She works out down here in the morning, so she keeps it nice and clean. Marcus, is your wife Hispanic? She is. She is Mexican. Tito, the best 154 of all time, says Jordan. Damn, that's a good. I don't know. I'd have to. Ray Leonard won a fight at 54. The WBA at 54. Oscar unified at 54. Tito. Jermell Charlo became undisputed. Terry Norris. I actually think Terry Norris might be the GOAT at 54 because he won the belt like 7 million times and defended it. No, Terry won the belt, I think 4 times. Might have only been 3, but I think Terry Norris was the super welterweight champ 3 or 4 times and had a combined 15 or 16 title defenses. Terry Norris was one of the GOATs at 154. So yeah, Sean got the pine soil on deck. What's up, Red? Good to see you. Mr. Quake, good to hear you got some new floors. Unknown Samurai said, can we get your top 5 boxing venues current day? I'm going to go MGM's number 1. And then in no order after MGM, Barclays Center, StubHub, whatever the fuck they call it now, Dignity Health, whatever. Yeah, even though they haven't had a great fight there in many years, and that's not a good thing. But still, I got to put that in the top 5. StubHub, MGM being number 1, Barclays. If you want a good seat and at a big fight, if you want to attend a big pay-per-view fight and have the cheapest seat in the house and still have a good view, the Mandalay Bay. Madison Square Garden still got to be up there because it's Madison Square Garden, although I imagine its aura isn't what it was in the 90s even, let alone 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, but MSG is still always going to be MSG. And T-Mobile sucked at first because it had no... Let's let Bernard Hopkins out of the room. Hold on. Get out of here, Bernard. I'll put T-Mobile... I'll put T-Mobile up there too because... It's been christened with a lot of good fights in the last 5 to 6, 7 years. And I feel the difference in that arena when I cover a fight now versus the first fight I ever covered there, which was Canelo Khan in 2016. And then I covered Dre and Kovalev's first fight. The place was fairly empty, like half empty for that fight. Great fight. Back then, it had no soul, the T-Mobile. But I actually think the fight that gave the T-Mobile soul, there's 2 fights. The first one that really gave it some soul was the Canelo-Golovkin rematch. Canelo won that fight of the year. That was a great fight. That kind of christened it with its first great boxing moment, was Canelo-Golovkin 2. And then I think what took it to another level, and the level that it's at now, was Fury-Wilder 3. Those were 2 all-time great fights. So now T-Mobile's dope to go to a fight too. Yeah, it has energy there now. So what I say? I said MGM's number 1, T-Mobile's in the top 5, Barclays, MSG, StubHub, and Mandalay Bay. So shout out to Thomas and Mack. I went to some great fights at the Thomas and Mack as a young boxing fan, and they don't do fights at Thomas and Mack anymore. The Thomas and Mack can't compete with the casino venues, but Thomas and Mack is the shit too. Actually, it's really cold and big, and there's not a good seat if you're in the upper bowls, but I've been to some fights like Morales-Pacquiao 2 and 3 where that energy was palpable. Even when Maravilla fought Chavez Jr., that energy was palpable at Thomas and Mack. Great fights like Bo and Holyfield christened it. So yeah. Paco Carlos said, I just subscribed. Everyone, please subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. What fight will be in the Sphere? I don't know. Great question. Wembley is good too, says 90. I've never been outside of America. I'm a stupid American who's never left the country yet. But, guys, I have George Kambosos at 7:30. I have some meat sauce rigatoni to attend to. I want to thank everyone for jumping in the live. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It definitely helps me out. But God bless everyone. And maybe I'll be live tomorrow, but I'll definitely be live Friday after the weigh-in. So check back in right here, please. And everyone else, have a blessed rest of your Wednesday. Take care, and we'll see you later. We'll see how this fight, how it goes for each guy. We'll see. Canelo's, I guess.